Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There have been a number of statements made by the other side this morning and now this afternoon that I just don't think are accurate. One was the court and Republicans want to go after other rights. I just want to read from the draft decision, page 62. Majority writes in the draft opinion, and to ensure that our decision is not misunderstood or not mischaracterized, we emphasize that our decision concerns the constitutional right to abortion and no other right. Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. They've said that there's no question what Republicans want. They want a federal law, that Republicans are radical. Is respecting the sanctity of life, Ms. Foster, is understanding that all life is precious, that we are endowed with that life by our Creator, this special right to life we have mentioned in the document that started this whole thing we call America. Is there anything really radical about that?
Not at all.
Life is precious, isn't it?
Life is the most precious thing. Without life, we can't exercise any other right.
And here's what the court said. The court said, we're not even going to make an ultimate decision. We're just going to leave it to the respective states. And the state in question in the decision that was in front of the court that they wrote about in the draft opinion, state of Mississippi, they said this. They said 15 weeks. They said at 5 weeks, unborn child's heart begins beating. At 8 weeks, the child begins to move in the womb. At 10 weeks, vital organs begin to function. 11 weeks, the diaphragm is developing. At 12 weeks, the child has taken on human form in all relevant respects. That all happens even before the deadline they set. And we could disagree with that, but that's the case in front of the court. And they're saying we're going to let states make this decision. The state of Mississippi, through their elected officials, passed a law that said that. And they say, I'll say that's radical. But now what is radical in my mind is the position they take. You just asked a question of one of our colleagues. He wouldn't answer the question. But what is radical is the position they take because they say no limit. Is that right, Ms. Foster?
Absolutely accurate. You look at New York Reproductive Health Act, you looked at the Women's Health Protection Act, they go so far beyond codifying Roe, so to speak. They expand Roe. They do so much.
I was thinking about what they passed last week, or what they tried to pass last week in the United States Senate, right? We want to talk about radical? Tell the members of this committee and the American people what they tried to pass in the Senate last week.
The Women's Health Protection Act would wipe out more than 500 protective laws. It would invalidate informed consent provisions, waiting periods, parental notification, much less consent. Anything that you
go back to that one. So a minor is going to have this surgery done, this procedure done, and some legislatures elected by the people of that respective state say, you know what, we think it may make some sense to tell their mom and dad that they know what's going on. And the bill that the Senate tried to pass last week got rid of that?
My teenager couldn't get an aspirin in school without parental permission and consent, but apparently can go get an abortion without even notification under the Women's Health Protection Act.
That sounds pretty radical. And that would include all the way up, and this I don't even like to talk about this because this seems just so wrong, but all the way up until just moments before that little child is about to be born. Is that right, Ms. Foster?
On their birthday.
Yeah. And frankly, it's even worse. Because we had a former Democrat governor in a state not too far from here who said it shouldn't stop there. Shouldn't stop there. Governor Northam said, actually, no, it's not even up to that point, which is just unbelievable. It's even past that when someone, the strong, could end the life of the weak. Is that right?
He did. He was on public radio and said that after the child was born, then the child would be kept comfortable while a debate ensued about whether or not the child would be given any kind of medical care.
Yeah, and as Mr. McClintock pointed out, that child certainly would have a beating heart, certainly have a functioning brain, everything else. We had a Democrat governor in a state not too far from here who said unbelievable. That's the radical position. That's the position that the American people say, wait a minute. We don't want to go there. We don't want that. And we would much prefer, I believe, to let the legislatures in the respective states put something together that makes sense for their state. I mean, you and I know where you and I are. We think all life is precious and all should be protected. But that's not what Mississippi said. They don't want to let that happen because they want the radical bill that they tried to pass in the United States Senate last week that would allow all kinds of things happen that the American people know instinctively is wrong. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Ms. Jayapal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2019, I was compelled to share my abortion story as states pursued abortion ban legislation. You want to know what's radical? A radical and politicized Supreme Court majority now stands poised to take away the basic freedom that women and pregnant people must have to make choices about our own bodies, and instead to have the government force pregnancy. And here's the thing that really galls me. The hypocrisy of an anti-freedom, anti-abortion movement that claims to support life and freedom. Our Republican witness and our Republican colleagues today spoke about the so-called violence of abortion when they are the very people who have opposed funding for contraception to prevent pregnancy, or opposed the child tax credit, which clearly reduced hunger, or even advocated to separate thousands of immigrant kids from their parents, or withhold baby formula for babies at the border. In fact, states with the most draconian abortion restrictions also have the highest maternal mortality rates. That's the real violence here, and that's the hypocrisy I want to examine. So, Dr. Robinson, maternal and infant mortality is a raging epidemic, and Black women and children are especially at risk. What are the anti-abortion, anti-freedom advocates doing to protect the lives of Black mothers and infants? And I have a number of questions, so if you could keep your answers short.
Yes, they're not doing anything to protect the lives of mothers and infants, and I appreciate you asking the question. The things that our patients need right now is effective contraception. We need access to health care before you become pregnant. We need access to care beyond 60 days postpartum. We need to be able to send our children to child care if we do choose to parent. We need access to effective abortion and abortion in your own community if you choose not to be a parent.
And at every turn, this anti-freedom movement, as you said, that is opposing abortion and reproductive health access, are the same people who don't want to provide health care to people and want to tear down the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid. Ms. Arambidi, how much will abortion bans strain our already overburdened healthcare system and harm the health of pregnant people and children of color?
Thank you for your question. I mean, we're already seeing what it looks like for about 50,000 Texans to go into other states trying to access the care they need. When we see that 26 other states are going to ban abortion, if this draft opinion goes into effect, it's going to be exponential. People will be forced to carry their pregnancies longer. And that's only if they can access the care, if they can travel, if they can find childcare, if they can, take off work to access the care they need, if they can afford to to pay for their procedure. And then the regular health system, especially in Texas, we've already seen how overrun it is. And we're a state that has cut family planning, cut access to prenatal care. We don't pay attention to the high maternal mortality rates. In addition to that, we have not expanded Medicare. We don't take care of the people that are in our communities now. And we've seen the devastating effects of these types of bans in Texas, especially.
Thank you so much for the work you do. Even though the data is clear that the abortion rate has fallen thanks to better contraceptive use and fewer unintended pregnancies, Ms. Glenn Foster's organization has written articles and amicus briefs in opposition to a wide array of reproductive health care services, including intrauterine devices, Plan B, in vitro fertilization. And so they're clearly not interested in preventing unintended pregnancies. In fact, Justice Alito, in his draft decision, also does note that the Supreme Court established many other modern rights based on the same reasoning as abortion rights, and specifically includes precedents around contraception. And by the way, other things like interracial or same-sex marriage. Professor Goodwin, does this so-called pro-life movement solely focus on revoking abortion rights, or are they also working to revoke other rights as well?
Other rights within the reproductive health space, and rights that are associated with the right to vote, so that when Justice Alito in this leaked draft opinion says, turn to your states and go vote, how does one do that effectively when this Supreme Court has dismantled parts of the Voting Rights Act and where it has become very difficult for poor people and people of color to be able to vote in these states?
So in response to Mr. Jordan, my colleague across the aisle's question about the fact that The Supreme Court is not aiming to take away other rights. In that same draft decision, didn't Justice Alito make reference to several other rights that follow essentially the same logic as this decision?
That's right.
Thank you. In the wake of this opinion, it is clear that the anti-abortion movement is not pro-life. They are anti-freedom, and they support abortion bans that would mandate government mandated pregnancy and disproportionately harm pregnant people and children of color. It's on us to ensure.
Vào lòng nhau, má kề bên vai ta nhắc chuyện ngày qua, cho mối duyên thêm đậm đà. Anh ơi, nếu mà sau này giấc mộng không thành thì đành đôi ngã chia ly, chớ đừng ưu sầu lãng chi. Anh ơi anh hỡi, duyên tình dù có thương đau, nhưng lòng ta mãi yêu nhau, cho thời gian không úa màu. Anh ơi anh hỡi, xuân về nào có đâu xa, nếu mà mỏi gối bồn ba, anh về nối lại tình ta. Anh ơi, nếu còn yêu nhau nhé, đừng gặp nhau cho luyến lưu khi biệt ly, thêm vấn vương mà làm gì. Anh ơi, có ngờ đâu rằng khúc nhạc chưa tàn mà vội xa cách. Anh ơi, đôi ngả biết tìm về đâu. Mãi yêu nhau, cho thời gian không úa màu. Anh ơi anh hỡi, xuân về nào có đâu xa, nếu mà mỏi gối bồn ba, anh về nối lại tình ta. Anh ơi, nếu còn yêu nhau nhé, đừng gặp nhau cho luyến lưu khi biệt ly, thêm vấn vương mà làm gì. mà vội xa cách anh ơi, đôi ngả biết tìm về đâu. Anh ơi, có ngờ đâu rằng khúc nhạc chưa tàn, mà vội xa cách anh ơi, đôi ngả biết tìm về đâu.